Welcome back, everybody. This is day 3 of Unit 1, Tools of Geometry. We're going to be talking about the midpoint formula. Okay, so what is the midpoint formula? Well, the midpoint of a segment is the point halfway between the endpoints of the segment. Okay, so the midpoint of a segment is the halfway point between the two endpoints. Okay, so midpoint formula on a numbered line. Okay, looks something like this. The formula is just going to be x1 plus x2 all divided by 2. Okay, so that's how you find the midpoint on just a number line. So let's talk about that real quick. Let me do a number line here. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, negative 10. Okay, I might as well do the one down below here as well. Okay, so let's come up with a random line segment here. So let's go negative 4 to 7. Okay, so let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so it's going to be somewhere in between those two spots. Let me do an even one for now, and then we'll do an odd one. Okay, so negative 4 to 8, I apologize. My line segment is this one right here. Okay, now, using this formula, so I'm going to go negative 4 plus 8, all divided by 2. You get 4 divided by 2, which is 2. And so the midpoint of this line is at 2. And let's count to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 over here. So 2 is the midpoint of that line segment. Okay? So let's look at one that's got maybe an odd one. So we're going negative 9 and 6. Okay, so negative 9 and 6. So negative 9 plus 6 divided by 2. So we're going to get a negative 3 divided by 2, which is negative 1.5. Okay, so let's take a look. Let me put that dot on there, negative 1.5. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half. Okay, so that's how you find the midpoint on a number line, okay, which we won't be doing a whole lot of, but it's important to know how you can find it, okay? So on just a regular number line, you just take those 2 points, add them up, divide by 2. That lets you know where the midpoint is. Okay, so the midpoint formula in a coordinate plane. Okay, this is what it looks like right here. All right, so as you can see, you look over to the right, okay, that midpoint is found by adding x1 and x2, dividing by 2, and adding your y coordinates, y1 and y2, dividing by 2. All right, so what we're doing is we're actually finding the average between our x endpoints and our y endpoints. So let me further write this down here. It says the x coordinate of the midpoint of a segment on the coordinate plane is the average of the x coordinates of the endpoints. Similarly, the y coordinate of the midpoint of a segment is the average of the y coordinates. Okay, so what we're doing is we're adding them together and taking the average. Okay? Hopefully you guys are familiar with that process, right? You got 2 test scores. Let's say you got an 80 and a 95. Okay? You add those together, divide by 2, so your average, 80 is 95. So your average test score is 87.5. Okay? So that's what that means, is that you're just finding the average between your x coordinates and your y coordinates. Okay. So let's dive right into it. So graph the points 1, 6 and 9, 6. So let's do that first. Okay. Boy, it's kind of a small graph here. All right. 1, 6. All right, and 9, 6. And there we go. Okay? So here's our line segment. Okay. So it says find the midpoint and then find the distance. Okay. So we're going to have to do both of those things. So to find the midpoint, okay, so let me label these things. I'm going to go x1, y1, x2, y2, just like I did in the distance formula lesson. Okay. It helps you to just kind of put things in the right place. Our midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay? So I go 1 plus 9 divided by 2 and 6 plus 6 divided by 2. So my point that I'm going to use, 1 plus 9 is 10 divided by 2 is 5. 6 plus 6 is 12. Divided by 2 is right back to 6, which makes sense because this is a horizontal line, and so this midpoint is going to be still going to be located when y is equal to 6. So let's put that point in there. So 1, 2, 4. There's our midpoint. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, perfectly in between. Okay, so let me shrink this up here, and let's find the distance. Okay, our distance, if you recall from that last lesson, it is, square root of x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay, so let's fill those parts in. All right. Now, we should get an answer of 8, all right? But let's see if that's what the distance formula gives us. So x2 is 9 minus x1, which is 1, squared, plus y2, which is 6, minus y1, which is 6, squared. Okay, those are going to cancel, so really I'm only looking at square root of 8 squared. Those are going to cancel. I'm left with a distance of 8. Okay, but you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I'm happy with that. All right, let's go down to number 2. And graph these guys again. So we're going to go 2, 2, and 6, 2. So find the midpoint of that. Whew, it's going to be a toughie. Okay, I'm going to guess it's going to be here, right? But let's verify to be sure. Okay, so I'm going to label this x1, y1, x2, y2. Our midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2 over y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So I'm going to plug these in. So it's going to go 2 plus 6 divided by 2 and 2 plus 2 divided by 2, which we get 8 divided by 2, 4 divided by 2. Finally, we get 4, 2, which is exactly where we put that dot. Okay? So we just verified that is the midpoint. Now the distance formula, x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Plug these guys in. So I'm going to go 6 minus 2 squared plus 2 minus 2 squared. Those are just going to cancel. You're going to be left with 6 minus 2, which is 4 squared. We don't need that so big. Square root of 4 squared is just 4. Okay? Which you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're good. All right? So both formulas worked correctly. But what's nice about these pictures, at least we can sort of guess where that midpoint was going to be. Okay, let's go down below. So finding missing coordinates and measures. Okay, if you know that the given point is the midpoint of a segment, then you can use algebra and other key information to find missing measures of the coordinates. Okay, so the midpoint of a line segment is 2, negative 5. So I'm going to set up my midpoint formula. 2, negative 5. Okay? So if the coordinates of A are 4, 4, what are the coordinates of B? Okay? So I'm going to do that after. I was going to graph it, but well, I'll put those in there. So 4, 4. It's right there. 2, negative 5. It's right there. So our midpoint, or our other line, get a different color here. Okay, it's going to be located somewhere down below here. We don't know where, but it's going to be located down there somewhere. All right, somewhere down this direction. Okay, so it's not going to fit on the graph paper. Well, that's my fault. At least I can make that a little straighter, though. So let me do that. So 4, 4, 2, negative 5. So it goes somewhere down that direction. Okay? So unfortunately the graph stinks and I didn't give you guys enough space. But we can still find that what that other point is. So let's think about this. So we'll just call this one x1, y1, okay? So 4 plus x2 divided by 2, and 4 plus y2 divided by 2, okay? So what we're missing is our x2 and our y2, okay? But what we can do is we can take this piece here, and we can take this piece and set it equal to each other. All right, which I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to go 4 plus x2 divided by 2 is equal to 2. All right, again, we just have a multi-step equation, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. 2's cancel here. I'm left with 4 plus x2 is equal to 4. Subtract 4, subtract 4. x2 is equal to 0. Okay. All right, I'm okay with that. So let's find out what our y2 is going to be. Let me shrink this guy up here a little bit. So do the same process. So 4 plus 2 divided by 2 is equal to negative 5. Multiply both sides by 2. Okay, so the point we are missing, and the point we can't show, okay, is going to be 0. So b is equal to 0, comma, negative 14. And we definitely don't have enough space to put that on there. Okay? Well, let's just kind of verify if that makes sense. Here's our right triangle. All right? So we went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Down 9. Back 2. So if we went down 9 from here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we went down 9, that would bring us to 14. And over 2 would bring us to 0. So I am satisfied with this answer. Okay. find the coordinates of jk, or find the coordinates of j if k is the midpoint of the line segment, and jl, and l is the coordinates coordinates 3, -5. Okay, so in order to solve this one, we do the same process. 0 didn't too much. Okay, so k is our midpoint, so I'm going to put this over on the right, -1, 2. All right, and what we have is I'm just going to call this one x1, y1, so I got 3 plus x2 divided by 2, and -5 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay, so I'm just going to have to find some space to solve these. So I'm going to go 3 and put them over here. So 3 plus x2 divided by 2 is equal to -1. I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Cancel. 3 plus x squared is equal to -2. Subtract 3, x2 is equal to -5. Let's try another one, okay? So we're going to go -5 plus y squared, or y2, sorry, not y squared, y2 divided by 2 is equal to 2. Multiply both sides by 2. Those cancel. What's with -5 plus y2 is equal to 4. Add 5 to both sides. y2 is equal to 9. So the coordinates, which one am I missing? So find j. So j is equal to the coordinates -5, 9. Okay. So this next one says find the measure of line segment PQ if Q is the midpoint of line segment PR. Okay? So here's Q, here's P, here's R. Okay? Now, PQ is equal to 9y minus 2. And QR is equal to 14 plus 5y. Okay? These are just expressions. All right? If we knew what the point of this problem here is that we don't know what y is. As soon as we figure out what y is, we can find the measure of either one of those sides. Okay? So it takes a little bit of, what am I trying to say here? You have to think outside the box here a little bit to solve this, okay? So what does it mean to be a midpoint? Well, what that means is that this length is equal to this length, right? And so what we can say, or what we know about those two lengths, is PQ, line segment PQ, its measure is equal to line segment QR. Okay, both of those line segments are of equal length. That's what it means to be a midpoint, right? Midpoint is the average, or the in-between, okay? It's the very center of the line segment, the midpoint. Blah. I just keep talking. Anyway, so what this means is since PQ is equal to QR, what we can do, I'm just going to move this down. I should have gave myself more room. I'll move it over here. Right over here. Whoop, stop it. This box right here. So if PQ, line segment PQ, is equal to line segment PR, then we know that 9y minus 2, this length up here, is going to be equal to this length up here. And then we just solve like we would a multi-step problem. So you subtract 5y, we get 4y minus 2 is equal to 14 plus 2 plus 2. We get 4y is equal to 16 divided by 4, y is equal to 4. Okay, now that we know what that measure is, or know what that value is of y, we can plug it back in to this equation because we're trying to find the measure of line segment PQ. So we plug it back in, so we get 9 times 4 minus 2, which is 36 minus 2, which is 34. So PQ, line segment PQ is equal to 34. And then also, if you were to take that same number and plug it into the one back here, right? 5 times 4 is 20. 20 plus 14 is 34. So both lengths still equal out to be the same. Okay, so let's take a look at this last one here. So find the value of x if C is the midpoint. Draw that in there. So A, B, oops, thought I had something wrong. C goes right there. So find the value of x if C is the midpoint of line segment AB such that AC is equal to this length here. And AB, the total length, I think that's supposed to be CB. No, that was right. AB is equal to 78. Okay. So, this total, all right, so let's think about this. Let me draw this out of the way here. Myself some space. Okay. So, if you think about this, we know that C is the midpoint, right? So we know that this length is equal to this length. So, since AC is 4x plus 5, then we know that CB is also 4x plus 5. And so now, it says find the value of C, or find the value of x if C is the midpoint. Okay, so we're gonna do it a little different than we did in the last one. All right. So I'm going to go 4x plus 5 times 2, right, is equal to the length of 78. Okay, so what we're saying here is this length, okay, we could add them together. I guess we could do that, but I'm just going to multiply them by 2, okay? Just saves it either way, all right? But this plus this is equal to 78, okay? So, or 2 times that length is equal to 78. So, multiply that in. So 8x plus 10 is equal to 78 minus 10 minus 10. 8x is equal to 68. Thought this would, well, thought this would even out to be a nicer number. So we get x is equal to 68 divided by 8. I'm going to simplify that and divide each piece by 2. So this will be 34 divided by 4. Did I write that problem down right? It feels like it should have came out nicer. Okay, well that's the value of x. That's what I came up with. All right, so not always going to be a nice number, I guess. Okay, so that concludes this lesson here, guys.